Welcome to my tutorial for Sturmfront, the Mutant War for PC. And this was a game I got for $5 on Steam. And I would say it fits that price point. You know what I mean? I wouldn't pay a shitload of money for it. You know, I wouldn't pay 15 or 20 for it, which I think that would be a lot of money to pay for this game just because it's not. I like it, actually. I had a lot of fun with it, but it's not on the level of even an old game like Super Smash TV or Gunsmoke for the arcade. Even though it kind of emulates the Smash TV style, but it's just missing some things. You know, the character kind of walks a little bit too slow, and some of the detection, like trying to pick up power-ups and stuff, you got to be right up the ass of the power-up to get it. And with the slow walking, but it does control, pretty well overall. But it's kind of lacking the speed. I think it could use a few tweaks to the gameplay, which I'm going to cover in the review. So I think $5. It was a really fun game for $5. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It had there was maybe about 2 or 3 very hard checkpoints for me on the medium difficulty. You're seeing the medium difficulty right here. This was my playthrough on medium, and I edited out all the deaths. The game has unlimited continues. There are no lives. It's just you just can continue to the last checkpoint you got to whenever you die. You'll start back at the checkpoint. Some of the checkpoints are pretty far back. So you do have to play well. Medium is quite a challenge. Now, easy mode, it might be an easy one for more beginner players, or if you're just looking to have more fun with it and not get too frustrated, medium can be pretty frustrating, even if you're, pretty conditioned to these type of games. So if you just want to chill out, a little something easier, maybe check out easy first. If you like the game, then, maybe start scaling up the difficulty gradually. At least they give you a few options to work up to. Now, when you go from medium to hard, it's a gigantic jump in difficulty. Medium was already pretty hard at points, but hard is just really fucking hard. And I'm at the first boss on hard mode currently, and it's way fucking harder than this. So, it could have used a few increments of difficulty after medium even. But I like the idea of an extreme setting. My issue, like I said, my gripe is that I feel like the game is not quite up to the task with the controls. I feel like that should be tweaked more for the kind of performance that the game expects from you. So basically, you can fire in 8 different directions. I used the right analog stick instead of the buttons. You can do it with the 4 buttons, having a button for each direction, but I preferred the analog stick. I use the King Kong Pro 2 by Ghillie Kit. It has super low dead zone on the analog, so the game was really responsive. It's my favorite controller for twin stick shooters. Awesome fucking controller. It worked really well for this. I tried using a joystick and arcade joystick and using the buttons for the firing directions, but it just didn't feel good to me for this game. So I recommend a good twin stick controller, and I do recommend the Ghillie Kit with the low dead zone. Very responsive. So basically, you can fire in any direction, pretty much. And you have a flamethrower. You're going to use the flamethrower to take out nests, which will constantly respawn enemies. Now, there's parts in the game where you really want to take out the nest because you'll get flooded with enemies if you don't do that. The other important thing of the flamethrower is you're going to use the flamethrower to block bullets for your movement so you can keep moving without getting hit. Remember, the flamethrower eats bullets as well. So if you have bullets in your way, you can totally avoid damage by shooting out a burst to your flamethrower to take the bullet out. So that's that's pretty much the main thing that the flamethrower is good for. It's not great for taking out regular enemies, really, or bosses. It's pretty fucking weak for that. But it will take out nests really fast, and it's the only way to take out nests that keep spawning enemies, as well as you want to use it to block bullets. So for this guy, just stay in the gaps of the bullets. You can see the bullet patterns. You have to be able to weave through all that shit, and that's just memorizing the patterns. On medium, a lot of the boss patterns are pretty simple, but it does get dense later on. You can pull some bullshit, though, by bringing certain weapons to the bosses. You can shred the bosses, which I did at least once in this playthrough. I may try to do that on hard if I continue working at it. I'm a little bit put off on it because, like I said, the controls are not quite up to what I would want them to be for this kind of game. So I don't know if I will go through hard completely, but it is something that I'm fucking around with. So this checkpoint is quite difficult. The idea here is to try to work your way up slowly and take out the nests and take out the enemies. I have to see more of this checkpoint to remember if this is one of the harder ones, but this is where the game starts to get tough for sure. and you want to take it slowly. Try to take everything out and kind of creep up. It is tempting to try to run through the stages, but some areas are very hard to do that without taking tons of damage. You can take 3 hits, and you'll get health power-ups every once in a while, but they're very scarce. So trying to run to the next health power-up is not always feasible, and they only give you 1 piece of health back. So it's not like you're going to get full health restored. Try to take out these guys and focus on the nest is my advice, and just kind of inch the screen up. You're going to want to get used to playing some of the stages more slowly, because some of them, if you try to run through, it's ridiculous. It may not even be possible. Unless you're spending a lot of time to learn some kind of crazy speedrun routes or something, but, under normal conditions. So try to take out these little caterpillars and, try to take out the nests that are in your way. You don't have to kill all these nests in this area, but you see it gets really dangerous. And all that was a single checkpoint, that whole area. But once you get in that skull area, you get to the next checkpoint, luckily. But see, it's a long stretch you have to make it through. So I do recommend taking out, most of the nests. Near the end, you can leave a few nests. You don't have to wipe all of them out. You saw I kind of snuck past the nests. But you're going to have to find your own path that works best for you. So this weapon is pretty powerful. You see I got a different weapon here. And if you collect the P's, you can power up whatever weapon you're holding. You can't switch weapons as far as I know, as far as swapping weapons, but you can just pick up a different weapon, and then that's what you have equipped. It would have probably been a little better if you could hold on to weapons, but then you could really fucking shred the bosses, so I guess I could see why that would be a problem. But you can get around that in some areas, which I'll show later. Here you want to kind of just circle around, and you're going to want to find the path that, works best for you by experimenting. You can follow the path that I used here, but you may find a path you like better. This stage isn't really a maze, but there's a lot of little dead ends, but they don't go very far. But, getting stuck in an area that's a dead end is bad in this stage because of all the enemies constantly swarming you. So you want to try to, take as little wrong turns as possible to make it easier. Because anytime you get hit, it does add up. Now, there is a way to turn on the hitbox where it shows the hitbox on your character in the options menu. You're going to see me do that later when the game gets harder. And I think it helps a little bit, but I didn't notice that I performed much better with it on. But, I figured it wouldn't hurt. And, of course, the hitbox is the only area where you can take damage. There's a circle in the middle of your character, and that's pretty much, if anything touches that, that's when you take damage. Though a lot of times it felt like I was getting hit by shit when I felt like I was far off. But I think what was happening was enemies can spawn right up your fucking ass. And sometimes you just get hit. Because a lot of enemies come with bullets as they're charging at you and spawning on you. So, sometimes it felt like I got hit when I didn't even see any bullets hitting me. But I think, enemies were right on top of me. So be aware of that. But eventually you'll find your way into the boss area. Now, this boss I found very, very easy on this difficulty. Just pay attention to the bullet patterns. Of course, the purple ones are usually going to be these long walls of bullets that you're going to want to go around. You don't try to get in between like that. See that? That's not what you do with those. You want to be away from them as they're coming out, so you want to be on the opposite side that they're going to appear. So you get on the other side. That's all. As long as you do that, it's easy. But it's not the kind of bullet pattern where you try to go in between the bullets. So, just be aware that they're like walls of bullets that you have to avoid. Just be on the opposite side. You also have to manage the green bullets, which is a little tricky, but you get used to the patterns. If you keep firing on this guy, eventually he will go down. The bosses can take a lot of hits. But it's a simple pattern once you get used to it. So now the game has some hard parts. So this is one of the hardest checkpoints in the game. So for this, there's going to be a very specific strategy for this that I use, but even in the end, I barely made it through, so you're going to see that it became very close. So again, you want to try to destroy these nests, but what I was doing is I was doing a very fast method of, I kind of said fuck the slow method, and I found a faster route by just being super aggressive, but this took many failed attempts, so it's not the easiest way to go about it. But I like playing aggressive a lot of times, so this is just what I went with. But you'll see it's harder than it looks when you try it. It's very, very dense. And, best way I can explain this is you just got to get used to what's coming and destroy the shit that's, in your immediate area. And you'll get used to it after a while. But I don't have a good explanation I can give for playing fast like this, other than practicing a lot to get used to the layout of the stage. But I just got kind of irritated with waiting around, taking out nests and shit. And then enemies kept spawning up my ass, so I just went aggressive. But it does require a lot of precision if you're going to go that route. Now here I was trying to find how to get this little first aid kit, but I just had to go around. This was my first time getting to this part of the stage, so I just played it very slow. So stay back here and just snipe these guys out and stay in between the bullets. And once you do that, you can go around and get that first aid, so you'll get 1 health back. I had pretty good health for whatever reason. I was able to get through there pretty well without taking too much damage. But that is the hardest checkpoint of the game, probably. Aside from maybe, the next checkpoint is up there as well. See how dense this part is. There's a lot of bullshit. I got lucky here because I didn't know that all that shit was coming up. So I just rushed through, and I was able to get through and get to the next checkpoint. Once you get to this checkpoint, you're in good shape as far as beating the game, but this part can be just as hard as that last checkpoint, if not harder. So this is the last big, difficult spike in the game. And then the rest of the game really isn't that hard. So here you want to use your flamethrower as you're weaving in and out of those nests in the beginning. And then in this part, you want to do the same, and you want to grab the first aid. And I believe there's a weapon over there, or a power-up. And then go up this way. Be real careful. Try to stay between the bullets. See, I have the hitbox turned on now, so it shows a circle on my character, which is the hitbox. I can take damage, so that's a little helpful. I didn't find it helped me too much. Now, for this part, it's tough. You want to try to stay back and clear out some of these nests with this little blue weapon. Actually, the blue weapon doesn't clear out the nest, I guess, but you want to try to clear out some of the spawned enemies so you can bust through. Okay, so yeah, no, I actually left the death in. So here's going to be a more successful. I must have missed a death in editing, but you'll see I do the same pattern here where I go through here with the flamethrower, grab the rocket launcher, and take out these nests. And the main reason I go in this area is to get some of the power-ups, including the first aid, which I think is helpful, because usually I'll take a hit. But you could probably bypass that little side area and keep going up if you wanted to. So here, sometimes I don't even bother getting the flamethrower ammo because the pickup detection is so fucking strict in this game. You got to be right on top of the power-ups. And your character walks so fucking slow. So here I'm taking out the guys as they appear, which is harder to do. And I ignored a lot of the nests. It's tricky to do that, but I died a lot, so I got used to it. First thing you want to do here is try to safely take out the 2 nests in the boss area. Take the left nest and right nest out. And now you can focus just on the boss, which has some hard patterns. This first form is not too bad once you get used to it. But you got to watch out for enemies that will spawn in these cocoons as you're fighting. Enemies will still spawn, so try to kill them as a priority and then fire on the boss. This pattern is tough because you really have to get in these narrow spaces to dodge these walls of bullets. So that second form I died on a lot. You just got to get used to it. Hopefully you can get here with some health by learning the stage and being aggressive if need be. That's what ended up working for me, is playing aggressively. I don't really do that great when I have to stay back and pick off enemies and stuff from a distance. I like to do everything in one fluid motion, but it can be a lot of trial and error. And those are the 2 hardest checkpoints of the game, so it may take some practice. So here I was hooking up my controller again. I think I had taken a break. I was checking to make sure it worked. But yeah, so this part's pretty fucking easy. I remember this being like a break after the last 2 checkpoints. So if you've gotten this far, you're probably not going to have any trouble. There's not really any hard checkpoints left in the game. Even the final boss is not really that hard, once you get used to it. You see, I'm playing pretty sloppy because I think I may have beaten this whole area on my first try. I'm not sure if I died on this area. I don't remember this taking me much time at all to get through. Not that it's easy, but compared to some of the other areas, it's not nearly as dense. So these blades really tear through shit, as you can see. I think these blades will even destroy the nest, which is really, really useful. So you don't even have to use your flamethrower to take them out if you got the blades. So at this point, we're getting pretty far into the game. Again, this area is not too difficult compared to what we've already completed. So if you go straight up here, the boss is right here. So you got a checkpoint right at the boss. See, what I did was I pulled major bullshit. I just kind of tanked some of the hits. But I wasn't firing my mortar. What I did was I saved up my mortar ammo for the boss, and then I just fucking shredded the boss in seconds. So otherwise, that boss is quite hard. I was dying quite a bit. Actually, I think I died quite a bit on that boss, yeah. But then I said, fuck it. I was like, let me see if I can bring the special weapon straight to the boss and just use up all my ammo on it. So I got that mortar in there by not firing it. I just kind of ran through and took some of the damage. I used my flamethrower to take out some of the nest and some of the bullets and stuff like that, obviously. But I saved my mortar. So once I got in there, I just fired off all my mortar shots at close range on the boss and shredded it to death. And actually, yeah, this checkpoint is pretty damn hard, too. Now I remember. This is one of the harder checkpoints. I guess there's 3 really hard checkpoints in the game. This is the 3rd one. There's those 2 back-to-back, and now this is the 3rd really hard area. But there is a way to play this well. This is the one area where I played it slowly and carefully. And you can see how to play this. You want to take out the nests and take out these eyeball things as well, because they're going to constantly fire. You basically want to wipe out all the enemies in nests and proceed slowly. But just be aware that enemies kind of spawn up your ass too. So just always be aware. There's usually if you're not paying attention, there's usually an enemy that'll creep up on you and shoot you. So don't get too relaxed. But just take everything out slowly, inch the screen. And once you run out of ammo, go all the way back down again and pick up one of the other guns at the bottom of the screen. And you want to do this until you've collected all the guns. So the reason I take it so slow on this stage and do it like this is because it's a very hard stage. And if I didn't play it carefully like that, it would be a lot harder because you have to travel very far before you get to the first aid kits. And it's a very long checkpoint. So if you want to play it safe like I did, go all the way back and just grab the guns and try to clean everything out. And like I said, when this gun runs out, there may be another gun at the bottom. If there is, you're going to see me go back and get it. So that was my strat. It was a very simple strat, but it's still, even when you play it carefully, it's a tough checkpoint. It's easy to take damage here. There's a lot of fast bullets. See, I got hit. If you go just a little bit too far, you get fucking shredded by these guys. So it's not easy. But if you're careful enough, you can make it much, much easier. So yeah, you just want to take it slow, and you see my ammo is starting to run out. I don't know if I went back down to get another weapon. There's one up here as well. I may have avoided that weapon because I don't really like the mortar too much because it's so slow. Maybe I got... Oh, rocket launcher's not that bad. No, rocket launcher's good. The mortar weapon I kind of don't like, even though I shredded that one boss with it. I don't like it for fighting regular enemies because it's so fucking slow and I usually get hit. So now you got your checkpoint. This is your final boss checkpoint, so you're pretty much home free. I believe this is the final boss checkpoint, yeah. Now for this, it's mainly just a matter, you can't really bring any powerful weapons to this guy, at least not easily. Unless I saved my rocket launcher, I maybe could have. But I didn't really do that. I think I had some rockets when I first got here, but I died a bunch of times on this guy, several times. So this is just learning the bullet patterns. That's all this is. And there's going to be gaps that you can get into, and you're going to get used to these bullet patterns. And it's really pretty simple for the most part. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is you want to destroy those 2 nests when you first come in. Well, maybe not nests. There's two things you have to destroy when you come in here to make it easier so there's less bullets on screen. So destroy both of those things, and it's going to drop. One's going to drop a first aid, and another one drops something else. So save the first aid for when your health gets low. That was my strat. So when my health gets low, I pick up the first aid, and it gives me a little bit longer survivability. Also, remember to use your flamethrower if you're about to get hit by a bullet. Your flamethrower will always open up spaces in the bullets. So you see it gets pretty damn aggressive. But if you use your flamethrower, you can block some of the bullets. Also, just save that first aid kit for when you need it. Don't collect it right away, just destroy those things so that they drop the power-ups. And just save them for when you need them. And that's pretty much it. It's not too bad if you play it like that. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching. I'll definitely be reviewing this one soon, too.